New on Nightcast, one person is dead and two injured after a plane crash in Willow tonight.
Happened just west of milepost 69 of the Parks Highway. That is where we find KTVA 11's Liz Raines. Liz, what do we know right now?
Well, James and Emily, the two survivors in that crash have been taken to the hospital, and I want to show you where we are out here because this all happened just right next door to some homes. You can see over here there's people that live in the area, and we're told that it was people here on the scene in this area that were able to come to the site of that plane crash and get the two survivors out just before the plane went up in flames. Very, very fortunate timing here. Joining me live to talk about what else we know is Sergeant Brent Johnson with Alaska State Troopers, and it sounds like these two survivors got very lucky.
They did. A local resident who's also a pilot, the crash happened essentially in his front yard. He arrived within a moment. He said both passengers were working on extricating themselves. He assisted them out, got them away from the plane, went back to look for any survivors, didn't see any, and it was shortly after that that the plane became engulfed in flames.
What do we know about the condition of the survivors at this point?
My understanding is they were able to walk themselves to the ambulance, so I believe they're in fair condition. They were taken to a local hospital for evaluation for any possible unknown injuries, but right now their prognosis seems fair.
Do we know anything about the relationship between the two passengers and the pilot?
This was a commercially operated aircraft out of Anchorage, so there was no relation between the passengers. It was a contracted flight.
We do know, we're told that it's a mother and a child who survived. Can you tell us anything about what their condition was like at the time of the crash?
They were removed prior to my arrival on scene. My understanding was bumps, bruises, cuts, stuff like that, and no apparent serious injuries on our arrival.
And as far as the pilot goes, we're told it's an adult male. Alaska State Troopers aren't releasing the identity at this time?
Correct. We've identified the pilot. I believe Mexican has been notified, but we want to make absolutely sure before we release that. It should be forthcoming shortly, though.
All right, Sergeant Brent Johnson with Alaska State Troopers. Thanks so much. And now, James and Emily, we're told that it's a de Havilland Beaver that crashed here, and crews are working to clear the scene. Meanwhile, NTSB has begun collecting evidence. Back to you.
All right, Liz Raines live in Willow tonight.